Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with ReadyNet Solutions. Today, Bill Patterson, and he is their Voice Product Director, and he'll be presenting today. If there's any questions, as always, please submit in the question box, and Bill will be able to answer them at the end of today's presentation. Bill, thank you so much for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it. I am finished for now, so please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate the introduction there, and welcome everyone for today's seminar. And exciting moment because this is a new product from ReadyNet that we're introducing, and you'll be able to go online at readynetsolutions.com and pull all this information, gather data sheets and whatnot as needed. But we're going to really spend some time on the ReadyNet Solutions website because our marketing folks have done such a great job in illustrating this that it makes for a great presentation as well. I think you'll gain quite a bit. So we're going to talk about AlarmLink and ePOTS. We call it the next generation of managed POTS. So E, I believe, is a marketing term for enhanced POTS, which is plain old telephone service. And for most people, you may be aware of that the FCC has now told the carriers that they do not need to support analog telephone lines. And a lot of things are happening in the industry with the carriers that are driving the cost of telephone services up. And they're trying to, I don't know if they're trying to squeeze customers out or migrating them out, but it's a good way of doing it. We've actually seen some customers reported back to us that they've seen, $50 phone lines now are over $400. And if you need support on a phone line, it's not going to happen. So we're seeing that on the East Coast. We're actually seeing this in California as well too. And here in Salt Lake City, we haven't seen that quite yet, but it's coming and we know it. So if we can better prepare ourselves in providing solutions for our customers, this is a good way of doing it. And ePOTS is a great way of doing that. So what is ePOTS? ePOTS is basically a fully enclosed ATA solution that provides you with Ethernet connectivity and LTE connectivity along with a battery backup. And if we are to I'm going to just kind of scroll down here just a little bit here, kind of focus on the traditional equipment and what we have for ePOTS. Here we have our 4G or 5G router. That could be, depending on what your needs are. We typically use on our system right now, we use our LTE 520S, which is a standalone LTE router that has 2 ATA ports on it. And then we use our PR08. Now this one shows multiple lines, but our PR08 is our 8-line ATA system that manages and controls power to our battery backup and to our 520S as well. So it's a pretty intelligent, and then it also has 8 lines that you can connect to. So this will give you, our ePOTS will give you a total of 10 analog telephone lines that you can connect to your equipment. Now, of course, on the back end of these ATAs, you need to have a provisioning service that can provide these SIP services. Then down below, you've got your power that connects into this. And I'll show you a picture of what this looks like here in just a moment, what this device looks like. Then on the output, we actually give you 8 lines that come out to a 66 block. Now these lines that come out from the ATA are actually terminated with modular connectors that plug into the ATA. So you can move them around, or not on the ATA, on the 66 block. So you can move these around as needed, or you can go consecutive, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But you'll have 10 lines that will come out of the 2 ATA devices into the 66 block. And then you can take your tip and ring pair and just punch down right onto the block. Mount that to the wall. You've got this mounted to the wall. And basically you're done. Test and turn up. Most carriers are doing test and turn up. They're doing their testing before they ship it. But of course, when you go to implement and install this, they'll provide a service manager online to validate and make sure that the lines are connected. And also to make sure your internet's connected too, whether you're using your 4G or if you're bringing in fiber or I should say Ethernet copper into the router itself, to show that your lines are registered. And they can do that on their back end to show that all these phone lines are registered. And then you can connect your equipment to it, test it, or connect a butt set to it and check and validate that you've got dial tone, do some test calls. Now, here's the application. So Jason, our marketing guy, did a great job. You got fire alarms, you got alarm panels, you got voice lines. These could be just, 2,500 sets or Princess sets, in a facility that are available. You've got your elevator lines, fax lines, blue light, point of sales, security gates, panic buttons. And a panic button could be just a call box, a 911 call box that, you've got set up that as soon as it goes off hook, it automatically dials 911, maybe at a swimming pool or something. Meter reading, so just modem applications. We have customers that use these on solar farms to gather data for billing. Then you've got out-of-band management in your SCADA applications as well. So there's so many different applications, and if you look at the opportunity here, the number of analog lines that are still out there in use today for equipment that just has not been refreshed, and refreshed or upgraded where maybe it's more IP based, and they're still relying on these phone lines. This is a great way of providing these services to your customers. And you kind of have to get outside, because traditionally we're used to selling to, businesses that need business lines, phone services, and that internet services. But now we're talking property managers, and these property managers are now managing these facilities, and they're the ones paying these bills. And so it gives us, we got to think a little bit out of the box on this, but it does create new opportunities and a new source of revenue. Because when was the last time you had to replace or disconnect a voice line that's going into an elevator, for a building? It just doesn't happen. So this is a good time to reach out to your customers, let them know that you've got solutions available. And if you need help, maybe you're an MSP watching this video, just reach out to ReadyNet. We can point you into customers that are using these products that can provide these services for you. So yeah, a great opportunity, because once these are plugged in, they just stay there. They're just kind of a lost item in a needle in a haystack, because you need it, but it's just something you just don't change out consistently. So a little bit about what the ePOTS does as well. Here's some of the specifications that we do on the product, and all this can be found. You can just go to readynetsolutions.com and you just scroll down. It's like the second item down on our main website on our page. But here again, we've got applications, fire alarms, security alarms, elevators, fax services, and we're working with third-party fax companies right now to embed their applications. So they'll be available for those services. Modem applications, again, call box, point of sale. You can read these. I won't read them all out, but great opportunity for a lot of different applications to use this device. And then here's a little bit about why we're doing it. First generation POTS lines are discontinued. Carriers are decommissioning these copper lines in support. And here's some of the talking points that you can go to your customers with and see. And you might want to reach out to your local carriers or your local partners that you're doing services with and ask them, what is your policy today for POTS lines, and what impact is that going to have in your market? So, but yeah, if you're back east or on the West Coast, there's a huge push and into this direction. Kind of a little bit of a breakdown of the box here. Every one of these will be configured a little differently, but here's kind of a breakout what you've got. You've got your enclosure, you've got your 4G router. It's got a couple of ATA lines on it. You've got your PR8, which is an 8-port ATA. Those all come connected and down and out, and they plug into the 66 block. Your NEMA enclosures fire rated. So this, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've talked about this, some of these applications in the past. And you're going to say, Pedersen, you've evolved this product into a finished product now. Before, we were just doing the LTE 520S as a standalone, and you just go buy a battery backup system, plug into it, and you call that good. And then we've got, okay, I need more than 2 lines. I need lots of lines. Okay, so then we decided, well, let's come up with this 8-port. So that gives us 10 lines. And then on our 8-port ATA, we'll do some power management. So now we can manage our battery backup system as well too, and control that. And we can control the power to our LTE router. So it's kind of evolved. And now we've got it in a NEMA enclosure. We've brought the lines out, we've terminated them. So if you want, you can just plug them into your equipment, or you have the 66 block option that you can punch down onto them. And most of the inspectors that building inspectors are very pleased with this solution, because I've got redundancy power here. I've got redundant internet also, so I can bring an Ethernet connection into this and connect it via Ethernet that's already established in the building. And I've got 5 or 4G failover. So if I lose power, I've got a solution. If I lose my primary internet on my WAN connection, I've got 4G failover as well too. So we're covering bases. In fact, it's kind of interesting because as I talk to these inspectors, I tell them, you know, we're delivering a solution now that's even better than what the telcos were providing back in the day. And so fully redundant and works very well. We've got, you know, your battery backup, depending on how it's configured, you know, you can definitely get 12 to 48 hours out of these battery backup systems on this thing as well. So some of the advantages of ePOTS today, you've got compatibility with your legacy systems. You can actually connect them. It's more reliable than traditional copper lines. You've got multiple WAN connections. We talked about Ethernet and your 4G LTE connection. Business connectivity during network outages. These are going to stay up and running. approved for life safety. You got NFPA fire rated enclosures. It's working off your voice network. You can read all the way down this, and you know, it's, you know, from a cost perspective, if you have your own switch, you know what your costs are for your SIP lines. And so compare that to what you know, traditional POTS lines are they're paying for today. As a service provider, MSP, you're going to be very pleased with this this pricing model and your margins. And like I say, be prepared. Most of my carriers that I talk to, they're saying, well, what do we need to do differently? I said, you know, be prepared to fund these things for 5 to 10 years. I mean, you can do a month-to-month contract, and I'm not telling you how to run your business, but don't think of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year contracts. I mean, look at this as a 5 year, 10 year contract, because once this equipment gets installed and it's in place, it's in there for a very, very long time. So keep your options open. Private and secured connection. Even with your SIM cards, depending on how you do your IoT SIM cards, you can get secured SIM cards that can securely connect your SIP trunks over your LTE connection and provide your customers with an end-to-end secure solution. And I'll just leave it right here on the technical page here. Kind of gives you a little bit of what to look for. While I do that, I'm gonna pull up this. Let's see if I can do this properly. It's gonna ask me to, whoops, unlock my phone. But here's what it looks like. This is the 66 block. You can't kind of see it coming down, but I just have pigtails on it with modular connectors. But excuse the mess that I'm working on, but this is the battery backup system. Here's our LTE router. There's our antennas. We have a spare connection for an alternate a dual battery backup if needed. And then that's our 8-port, 8-line system. You can see the little ribbon colors coming out the bottom there. And this works really well. Whoops, sorry. There's a little bit closer up view of this. So you just basically would mount this straight onto the wall and just plug it in, have everything provisioned, and you are good to go on this thing. And with that, I'm going to throw it back over to Julie to open it up for any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate that. And thank you for that wonderful presentation. And I do have some questions for you. Let's get started with the first one. Can ReadyNet devices be easily integrated into existing network infrastructures?
Yes. And great question. And let me go back up to this picture here. By putting this in a container, this enclosure, like what we have right here, there's mounting brackets on each 4 corner. You go into this and mount this on the backer board into your IT closet or your phone room. And then with this RJ11 connection that goes into this modular block, this would be mounted onto the wall, and you can mount this right next to it. And then you're just bringing over your lines from the rack or from the other equipment or from the old DMARC and punching down onto this. So for a typical telco installer, they're going to see this and it's going to be very well. Not very well, but what I'm saying is easily to install. The other thing to keep in mind, just make sure, I've had carriers, you know, say, what should I do with the front cover? You know, they're buying vinyls. and applying vinyls to the front of it, marking it with their company information, their customer service information. So if anyone has questions, they can contact the carrier for assistance. On these 66 blocks as well, they have covers, and you can identify each line that comes into it. So everything's going to be well marked and well defined when you go in and do your installation.
Thank you very much, Bill. I appreciate that. Next question here for you. How does ReadyNet integrate with AlarmLink for enhanced security?
So AlarmLink, there's actually a protocol that we use that's embedded into, there's two of them, that's embedded into the LTE 520S and can also act as a standalone module that requires two lines for the fire panel or for the alarm panel. There are some SIP services out there that cannot translate the contactless ID or contact ID protocol. And it just has a difficult time passing that information through. If that's the case, then you need to go with the module approach. But there are some SIP service providers that it works perfectly fine. So we always say, you know, get a unit, test it, validate it before you do your final installation to make sure. But some of the same protocols that are used in these contact modules, we have embedded into our firmware on the LTE 520S.
Thank you so much for that, Bill. Next question here for you. How does AlarmLink improve the reliability of alarm systems in networked environments?
Well, it doesn't improve the reliability. In fact, there's no guarantee on reliability because of the environmental situation that's going on. But what it does do is it gives you an alternative solution to replace out the traditional phone lines for this type of solution here that we've been talking about as an alternative means of communicating to the monitoring center, whether I'm doing that over Ethernet or if I'm doing that over 4G. So it just gives us, it's basically the same technology in a way, but we're just going IP based with this new technology. So instead of forklifting out all my old alarm equipment, my alarm panel that could cost thousands of dollars, this could be a great alternative solution to do that with.
Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate that. Here we go into the next question. Can AlarmLink be managed remotely when used with ReadyNet solutions?
Yes. So we do have a remote management platform that you can use, excuse me, to monitor all your connectivities and also to manage and provision. So let's say, for instance, you got a customer, you know, today only wants 6 lines, and down the road they want to order, you know, some more lines. Instead of sending out a whole new system, and you just need to add a couple of more lines, you can remote into the ATAs and provision 2 new additional lines for your customer.
Thank you so much, Bill. Next question, you may have touched on a little bit on this, but the question is, can ePOTS be used with all ReadyNet devices, or are there specific models designed for it?
Repeat that one more time for me, Julie.
Sure, no problem. Can ePOTS be used with all ReadyNet devices, or are there specific models designed for it?
Yeah, so on ePOTS, we have 2 primary products, the LTE 520S, which is our 4G router that provides our failover in case our Ethernet goes out, our local WAN goes down, then we can fail over to LTE. And then our PRO8, which is our 8-port ATA device, and the PRO8 also acts as a power management solution for both the PRO8 ATAs and also for the 520S. So yeah, those two products in particular are the key ones.
Great, thank you so much for that. Next question here. How does ReadyNet ensure the security of EPOTS communications?
Security is there's physical security, or are we talking data security?
Doesn't really say, but
Okay,
go ahead.
well, I'll touch on both. So physical security, I mean, this enclosure, you can lock it up and put a tag out on it, or not a tag out, but some type of crimping lock on it or a paddle lock on it, so no one can access to it. From a security perspective, that really comes down to your network. Now, if you're an ISP and you're providing fiber into that building, you'll have some ways that you can provide security on that network. That's a given. If you're talking about LTE, just keep in mind there's two forms of LTE data services. There's kind of your consumer data services, which works great, and then there's private data services. And those private data services, you might pay a couple of bucks more for it a month, but you know, that will provide you from, you know, some remote hacking and all that stuff over the LTE network. And actually, ReadyNet actually sells secure data SIM cards. And so if you need more information, just reach out to me and we can provide you with that information. If you have any questions, reach out and talk to your provider that provides you with your SIM cards and your SIM LTE services, and they can tell you. But that is very important to make sure that not only your WAN connections are secure, but your data over your LTE is also secure and safe too.
Thank you so much, Bill. Couple more questions left here. How does integration between ReadyNet and Flying Voice enhance call quality and reliability?
So Flying Voice is a partnership between ReadyNet and with Flying Voice. Flying Voice is actually does all of our manufacturing for us, as we work with them from the design specs and the firmware applications and even with third-party applications. ReadyNet controls all that, where Flying Voice is our point of manufacture. And we have factories in China and in Thailand, and I think there's one coming up in Vietnam. Don't hold me to that, but there's probably a third one that's coming up here as well. So that's our partnership, and we leverage Flying Voice. They have lots of talent and skill within their organization, and we're quite proud of our relationship with them.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. And yes, I was going to ask about manufacturing, and then you went and covered it. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Last question here for you. Can you touch on, because everyone always likes to know, the warranties for these products?
Yeah, so warranties are 1 year warranties from you know, defects and that. Now on the battery, eventually the battery is going to need to be replaced, and we can work with you on that. You know, once that gets to that point, battery just has a standard. I think it's a 6-month warranty on it from defects, but the hardware on the router and on our ATA is a 1 year manufacturer's warranty.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Bill, and thank you for answering all of those questions for us today. And thank you to everyone for attending this webinar. And if anyone has any further questions after this webinar is over with, please feel free to contact your sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned and shown here today, please remember this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so we can all view it again, which is very important when we need to reference what we just witnessed. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all this valuable information. And until next time, I will reach out again so we can do this again. Thank you,
Thanks,
Bill.
Julie.
Everybody, yeah, absolutely. Everybody have a fantastic day.
Goodbye.
Bye.